Well, hello out there, real country. It is high noon, and that means it is time for the Marc McMain Show here on WMOQ 92.3 on your FM dial. This is Bob Furr sitting in for Marc on Tuesdays while he is out seeking a seat in the Georgia State Senate. Today we're going to be talking about small business life. Chastity, I'm calling it It's a Small Business World. And riding with me, as you just heard, as always, is Chastity Stewart. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Bob. How are you today?
I'm doing well. So riding shotgun today.
Well, I love the studio today. A lot of ladies in the house. So
yeah, we did load it a little
job.
bit. Yep.
Yes,
okay.
Great show.
So
great lineup.
Let me ask you, do you know where the term riding shotgun comes from?
No, but we used to always argue over who got shotgun. Run into to the car, getting ready to leave. So it was always an argument. No, so where did this phrase come from?
So it's appropriate for this area. So it comes from the guy who used to ride next to the driver of a stagecoach, and he would carry a shotgun, and he would be there as they were going through in case bandits or Native Americans or someone attacked the stagecoach along the way. And that's appropriate because going through Madison was the main stagecoach line that went all the way from New Orleans to Charleston, and that's kind of one of the things that made Madison big in the day. And it's kind of fitting. Now, what do stagecoaches have to do with small business? I'm glad you asked, because they were really the first small businesses in this country that grew into big businesses, right? So they started out as little independent stagecoach lines, and they were the first ones to kind of go from small business to big business. And then, of course, they were replaced by the railroads, and they did the same thing. And the railroads were really the biggest, the first example of big industry in this country, and they, of course, all grew out of small business. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today. Before we get into that, I want to talk about some upcoming events, as I always like to do. Yes. So April 18th in Madison, we've got the annual NAACP Parade and Festival coming up on Saturday. There's a 4 p.m. parade. It's about celebrating African-American achievements. And then starting after the parade until 8 p.m., they've got music, food, vendors, bike and car show, live music, all in Town Park in Madison. You can find out more about that at morgannaacp.org. And then April 25th, we're going to be talking more about this next week. One of the big 4 events in Madison, 10 to 4 p.m. on Saturday the 25th is Madison Fest. You're going to see local arts and crafts, local businesses out there, food, live music. They have 6 bands, Chastity, from 10 to 4 p.m. So
and food.
It's like
I
mad
like
stock they're having out there. And they're doing this interesting thing we've talked about called a paint out, a plein air paint out.
Oh, yes.
And basically that's where you go and paint in nature in the moment, right? Whatever the light is and whatever you see. And they're going to have prizes and such for that. The Madison Trolley Company is going to be giving free trolley rides. We get people who come up all the time with kids. Maybe the kindergarten kids not quite down for the 90-minute historic tour.
So fun.
So we're going to give some folks some trolley rides, and then at the same time, the Rotary Club is going to be having Cruisin' Historic Madison going on. That's a big car, truck, and motorcycle show, and that benefits the Morgan County Charter School Scholarship Fund. So you can get more information about that at madisonga.com/madfest. Or at Cruisin' with a Z, Cruisin' Historic Madison Rotary at gmail.com. And then in May, we've got a couple events coming up. May 2nd, they have a big Kentucky Viewing Derby party going to be going on. There's a food, Big Ten atmosphere, stylish derby fashions. You can find out, that's going to be in Town Park. You can find out more about that at loadst.org. May 9th, the Madison 5 and 10.2K. Are you a runner, Chastity? Okay. Go out there?
Sometimes.
Yeah, not so much for me.
I go to the gym, but I'm not a big runner.
Yeah,
so.
My wife did a half marathon once. I was very proud of her because now I don't feel any obligation. Well, anyway, that's coming up on May 9th. RunSignup.com. And, of course, in May, big spring tour of homes. Great 8 homes on there like Boxwood, Magnolia, Echo House, the Peter Walton House. Some really good lineup for those homes. We're going to be providing transportation for that, so you'll be able to get around pretty easy. And we'll be doing an early bird and afternoon tour that day, too. And you can get more information about that at mmcc-arts.org. And I got to give a big shout out to the Rock Lobsters. The Athens Rock Lobsters won the Continental Division. Claws up in the studio.
Yes,
nice, glad to see it. And they are going to be going to the playoffs starting on April 17th, this Friday at 7 p.m. And we have, because we're a sponsor, we have access to discount tickets. So later today on our Facebook page, I'll be posting that, and Instagram. And if you want to go check out the game and see the Rock Lobsters in the playoffs against the PD Ice Cats, you can go ahead and check out our Facebook page and get tickets there.
So fun.
So let's get back to what we're here to talk about today, and that is small business. You know, everybody knows small business is important, but I wonder if they know how important it is. Did you know that 99% of all businesses nationwide are classified as small businesses? 500 employees or less. I mean, 99%.
Wow. Sure.
That is really incredible, and they employ 62.3 million people. It's just under 50% of all the private sector jobs in this country are from small business. And they have accounted for 89% of all the job growth in this company in 23-24. So really some big, important numbers there. 35% of U.S. business revenue comes from small businesses, and that's grown 30% since 1977. And apparently, this makes sense. There was a huge spike after COVID. Applications for new businesses went up almost 1 million between 2019 and 2020. And they've been consistently about 5 million applications ever since. And so small business is important not only in its own right, but also because of the impact that it has on big businesses. As I said, all small businesses, big businesses were once small businesses. But it was also interesting to see that small businesses also drive productivity and create competitive pressure on big businesses, which leads to innovation and such like that. But sometimes it can be tough to get those small businesses going, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Great.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show, Real Country. This is Bob Furr sitting in for Marc on Tuesdays. I'm here with Chastity Stewart, as always, on WMOQ, Good Hope, 92.3 on your FM dial, and we're talking about the world of small business, not a small world of business at all. Now, let's get to some numbers about small business that maybe aren't so great. The good news is Georgia ranks 4th in the nation for new business applications, about 50,000 a year.
That's good.
Bad news, less than 6% of those materialize into business with payroll in 4 to 8 quarters. So there's a lot of people that want to get it going, but then they don't actually get it going type of thing. And that was one of the first things I learned from one of our guests here, Mickey Edwards, we're going to get to in just a second, is how few do that. So why does that happen? Well, people find out that the jump from planning to action is scary, and they get imposter syndrome, maybe they get paralyzed, fear of failure, that sort of thing. They underestimate the startup costs and how much, or they didn't, but they realize they don't have the funding they needed. And then there's complexities. I mean, I can just tell you, when I started the trolley business, I could not believe all the things that had to be done to make that trolley actually start to run around the streets. Things I had never, thought of, from getting my CDL license, which I had, to all the requirements with DOT and all the rest of it.
Sure.
So really just an interesting thing. Sometimes they just don't take the leap of faith. A lot of people are in jobs, so they're comfortable, and that's a big, scary step. I did that. I had a great job early in my career, and to take that jump from a steady paycheck and benefits and all that security, paid vacation that's a great memory I have from many, many years ago. Or they find out there's no demand. But the big thing is that people look at getting their business license as like the starting point, and it's not, right? That's really what you want to do after you go through all the steps. Roughly 90% of all new businesses fail within 2 to 5 years. And that's pretty scary
tough.
number right there.
Tough.
42% of the time it's because it was just a bad idea. They didn't have the market demand that they thought they were looking for. 29% of the time they run out of cash. Sometimes it's execution, right? There just wasn't such a good business on it. There was a trolley in Madison before, so that was a little scary for me to find out that, there was one before that didn't make it, and there'd been a bunch of other attempts at tours. But, and that brings me kind of the last one is the right time, right timing and all that sort of thing. And 19% are unable to overcome their competition. But one of the things that really kills people is the attempt to grow too fast, right? They have some initial success, and then they kind of stop listening to feedback. They stop listening to what their customers want. Ineffective marketing, it can be another thing. Timing, as I mentioned, can be a huge deal. So as you can see, there's a lot of what I call headwinds in the way of getting a business started. Here's the good news. It's called the acceleration effect. And that is, if you engage as a business owner or someone who wants to start a business in an accelerator program, that reduced failure rates by 10 to 15%. And let's crunch the numbers on that. So if you have 6%, of the people who apply out of 50,000, that's 3,000 businesses that actually get started. Throw the 10 to 15% success factor on there. Now all of a sudden that's 7,500 businesses that are getting off the ground. Now, of the 300, if 90% failure rate, that means only 300 of 3,000 make it, or 750 of 7,500 with the accelerator effect. Well, that becomes now 1,875 businesses that are making it. And so what that all comes down to is if you engage with an accelerator that help to start and sustain your business, it basically comes down to about 500% improvement. And that's what we're here to talk about today, an accelerator called the Wheelhouse, which exists in Madison, Georgia. And so with us today is Mickey Edwards, the executive director of the Wheelhouse. We've also got Mandy Reese, who runs a really cool program out of the Wheelhouse called Madison Youth Entrepreneurs. Special place in my heart. I think I was cut out for being an entrepreneur. My parents remind me that when I was 7 years old, I used to sell rocks in the front of the post office and actually got people to buy them. In fairness, there were some fossils in them, And then also with us is Leanne Howell, who owns a great, interesting new business called Imagine That in Madison, who benefited from the Wheelhouse and such. So real quick, let's just go around the horn. And Mickey, we'll start with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll do some quick introductions, take a commercial break, and then we'll come back and dive into it.
Sure. Thank you. And so glad to be here, Bob. Really, I'm a recovering high school principal and college and career academy CEO who just had the very fortunate event that my retirement was happening right as the Wheelhouse's need for an executive director was coming to be. So very passionate about, especially through the college and career academy, of connecting people with what they want to do and are good at and can be successful at.
Awesome. Mandy, how about you?
Well, I am a longtime resident of Morgan County, and I have a salon here in Madison that I took over from my mom in 2018. I started driving a school bus about 3 years ago, and I'm really, really involved in the youth in our community. So I volunteer at the rec department, the Boys and Girls Club, and that's kind of how I came to start up the Madison Youth Entrepreneurs.
Fun fact, that's how Mandy and I met. I remember I got my CDL through the school district for driving the trolley, and so we met while I was out doing my school bus training. And Leanne, you and I met in the Wheelhouse. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, we sure did, Bob. So I'm a wife, mom of 3 kids, also an educator. I've been in the classroom, and then I'm also a children's pastor now at Covenant Park Church, and I am a new business owner coming up on a year now. So, and you're right, I did go through the Wheelhouse, and so that's how I've met all of you.
Awesome. I'm going to plug something in here real quick. So Leanne and I have something else in common. She's got a member of her team named Brinley Doss, and I've got a nephew named Colby Brown, the official photographer of the Madison Trolley Company. And this past week, Brinley and Colby got themselves engaged. So shout out and congratulations to Brinley and Colby. They're going to be a great couple. They're one of those couples that when you see them, you're like, yeah, these two definitely belong together.
I think they've been together since 8th grade.
Yeah, since
right?
8th grade and such like that. Yeah, it's one of those finish each other's sentences types of things. So very cool. All right, well, when we come back from the commercial break, we're going to get into this accelerator program in Madison called the Wheelhouse. It's available to business owners in Morgan and surrounding counties. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show, Tuesday edition. Bob and Chastity here taking you through the day. We're going to give some small businesses a little airtime and then come back in and climb into the Wheelhouse.
Awesome.
Recently, I was on a flight writing on a legal pad, and the man next to me struck up a conversation. "Are you an author?" he asked. I said, "No, I'm actually a preacher." Well, the look on his face was priceless. How would you feel if you're stuck sitting next to a preacher for several hours? Surprisingly, though, we had a good conversation. He asked me several questions about Jesus, and I told him that the Bible says if Jesus didn't rise from the dead, Christianity is worthless. Ever thought about that? You see, the truthfulness of Christianity hinges on whether Jesus died and rose from the grave. There's great evidence for it, and I'm one of the billions of Christians around the globe who believes that the resurrection really happened. If Jesus did conquer death, then he's worthy of your trust. If he didn't, reject him because he's a fraud. I believe he really conquered death. What do you believe? This is Bryant Wright, speaking right from my heart.
For devotions, visit rightfromtheheart.org.
The Madison Trolley Company is Morgan County's newest 5-star attraction. We offer historic Madison tours year-round, a haunted history experience in the fall, and our Madison Lights Christmas Tour and Mary Maddie Express Adventure for kids have become new holiday traditions. Our private charters add vintage charm to weddings and special occasions aboard a historic trolley by day, party trolley by night. Find us on the Madison Town Square or get on board by visiting madisontrolley.com or calling us at 706-997-1800.
John's Supermarket in downtown Monroe is proud to serve the Walton County community for over 50 years. 3 generations of the Thompson family offering the freshest produce, quality meats, everyday essentials, and now featuring Bistro South, a quick service restaurant with freshly made Southern cuisine and ready-to-heat gourmet meals. Always proud to support local farmers and suppliers, John's Supermarket has the best meat in town and tons of weekly specials. Stop by and see them for all the ingredients, meals, snacks, sweets, gifts, and everything in between you need.
Hey y'all, this is Bethany, owner of Willfully Guided Co. Boots and Western Apparel. From durable work boots built for long days to statement pieces ready for Saturday night and everything in between, we've got the brands that feel just right for everyone in the family. Stop by and see why we're your one-stop shop. Willfully Guided Co. Boots and Western Apparel is located at 116 South Broad Street, right in the heart of downtown Monroe. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to keep up with all the fun events happening with Willfully Guided Co. and for previews of all of our newest merchandise.
Howdy y'all, it's your little buddy Les Lane, inviting you to join me and Billy Brew on Friday, April the 17th, starting at 10 a.m. for a big live remote broadcast at Hayes Tractor, 545 Highway 11 South in Social Circle for their Kubota Orange Day event with the best deals of the season, plus your shot at winning door prizes. Enjoy barbecue, your shot at winning t-shirts and other surprises too. We'll see you on Friday at Hayes Tractor in Social Circle. It's live on location on Real Country Q92.3.
Well, welcome back to the Marc McMain Show on Real Country Q92.3. I'm Bob Furr, taking the wheel for Marc on Tuesdays alongside Chastity Stewart, and we're about to get into the Wheelhouse in Madison. It's an organization that helps steer owners toward a great accelerator program that can help them increase their success by 15%. Now, you can see, Chastity, I'm going with the dad jokes again. I got a nautical theme. Might be a big mistake. Might be a big mistake to go with the nautical theme today. No. April 14th, 114 years ago.
You do a great job, Paul.
I know, but today, April 14th, 114 years ago, Titanic hit the iceberg.
Oh.
Might be a bad omen. I probably should have chose a different theme. So Mickey, welcome. We always like to start things off by getting to know people. We've checked that box. So now let's get into the Wheelhouse. Would you just tell us, I guess, exactly what is the Wheelhouse and how? I'm curious to know how. I'm always interested in how things got their name. I've been involved in rebranding a couple of companies. So tell us what the Wheelhouse is and how it got that cool name.
Sure. We are we're a nonprofit, and we are an entrepreneurial support organization. And what that simply means is that we're here to support people as they start up and work through their small businesses. The name originally was, the legal name is the Madison Village for Advanced Entrepreneurship. And so the board who came together decided it needed something a little
doesn't exactly
little
roll off
catchier.
The tongue.
And this is back in the day before ChatGPT. Can we all remember that? And one of our board members kept trying to think of great names, and I believe she took a list of about 30 names to the board. And Wheelhouse ended up really appealing to them because it was in their wheelhouse to help people. Wheelhouse is also a baseball term. There's all sorts of other things. But a wheelhouse on a ship is an actual spot on the ship that is enclosed and is designed to protect the navigator. And that's exactly what we want to do, is we want to protect navigators as they go through this uncharted water of small business. And so that board came together around 2019, and they are a group of fantastic local folks who people were coming to them asking them, how do I start a business? How can I be successful? And the founders came together thinking maybe we could have an incubator situation in Madison. Also, how can we support the small businesses that are here and help them grow? And from that, this board really stuck together through COVID, through a lot of different things, and they came up with their very first, which is now our signature event on the third Thursday of every month, at 8:15 in the morning. It's called Coffee and Conversation, and it was just a place for people who had ideas and people who wanted to support those ideas to get together. And it is an amazing thing that's a little different every month, and we never know exactly who's going to show up, but we're always impressed that the right people show up every single time. So it's a place for folks to network, get involved, and learn about how to navigate the waters of small business.
So the name, that's an even cooler name, origin story than I was expecting. I was thinking wheelhouse, help people steer their business type of thing. But anybody who's ever been in business for themselves, Leanne, you could speak to this. It's scary. You know what I mean? It is scary. There's no safety net, and I love that concept of protection. You know, that Coffee and Conversations, that was the first step for me coming to the area. Knew I'd had a lot of business. You know, it was, I guess that was the 5th business that I'd started, so I had some experience starting businesses. But I was an outsider, and I didn't know anybody. And through just going to that Coffee and Conversations, I found my lawyer. I found my accountant, which I obviously desperately needed for the business, and I've made some really, really great relationships through there. So you're listening to WMOQ, Real Country Q92.3 on your FM dial. This is the Marc McMain Show. I am Bob Furr, sitting in for Marc on Tuesdays, and we have gotten into the wheelhouse in Madison, an accelerator that improves your chances of success in business by 15%. We're talking right now with its executive director, Mickey Edwards. And so, Mickey, how does it help? What types of programs, do you offer? And what should I be thinking about if I'm, a business owner thinking about starting a business and, getting involved?
We really want people to know that the experts are amongst us. They are walking the streets every day in our community, and whether it's retired corporate people or it's people who have already walked the journey. What we have found is just a huge willing community, ready and eager to sit down with other business owners and help them walk things through. So we just are really all about making connections and to get mentoring set up, to get coaching set up. We have something that we call the CREW model, and CREW, you need to spell it out, CREW, and it stands for Community of Resources, Education, and Wisdom. And it's a group of people who want to help you. And what we've seen throughout this is there's never a fear of competition. It's always been one of supporting one another. And I want to really brag on Bob here for just a minute. After Bob came in with the trolley, he has connected more of our entrepreneurs together and assisted them with their business or connected them with other businesses. And that networking has been just amazing to watch. And one of our board members, Board Chair Brooks Pennington, loves to say the rising tide lifts all boats. And we are seeing that up front and personal. So we do everything from workshops about marketing, AI, sales. We also do boot camps. If you're interested in if you're ready to start your business, we'll put you through your paces and seeing if you're all prepared to go. We've done book studies to grow leaders in our community. So we do a lot of different things to bring people together. And we've got something really, I know I've got to go ahead and talk about this, but we do have Coffee and Conversation this Thursday at 8:15 at the Wheelhouse. And we're located right there on the square in Madison above the Welcome Center. And then also, if any of the listeners are really thinking about, maybe I want to start something, we're going to have a discovery session this Saturday morning from 10 to noon, and that's where you come and really have a conversation about, do I have an idea that could happen, and what steps does it take to bring it into reality? So those are some of the big things we do, and they're the most fun to watch because we get to watch people succeed.
And listen, do not feel you have to limit yourself to saying nice things about me for just a minute, but I appreciate it. But all kidding aside, like that was one of the big things for me is, as I said, anybody who's ever been in business for themselves, you are on your own. You really are. Even if you have employees, you are on your own. And just feeling that, getting to talk to people and hearing that other people are doing things the same way. And those two things you mentioned, what a great 1-2 punch to really figure out if the Wheelhouse is a good start for you, right? You've got the Coffee and Conversations, low effort, show up, have some coffee, have some conversations. And when we get to Leanne, she's going to talk about just how valuable that can be. And then if that works out for you, of course, you got the discovery session coming up after that. I want to shift gears a little bit here, or I should say I want to change course a little bit here.
Very nice. Okay.
And I want to switch over because I was blessed to have the opportunity to get exposed to a program, one of the programs that you support, because in addition to your own programs, you support things like the Flex program and then what we're about to talk about with Mandy here, which is Madison Youth Entrepreneurs. And this is a group of young people from kindergarten to high school, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and so they asked me to come in and talk about my business and just, things that kids would need to know about business. And I'm like, yeah, okay, a bunch of middle school. I'm going to talk to them about I was blown away. The questions they asked, the insights that they had. So Mandy, how would you describe the Youth Entrepreneurs Program and how did it get started? How did you get involved? And just give us the backstory.
Absolutely. So Madison Youth Entrepreneurs is a community-based initiative designed to teach local kids and teens the fundamentals of business through hands-on experience. It's built to bridge the gap between having a creative idea and actually knowing how to market, price, and sell it. We provide a platform where the young people can experiment with entrepreneurship in a safe, supportive environment. I got involved because I work a lot with kids in our community and I just saw the need for it. I'm a business owner myself and I have 3 kids, and I wanted to create a resource that I wished existed for my own kids, something that encouraged independence and practical life skills. So between running my business and driving the bus, I saw that kids around here have this hustle and drive, and they really just needed the right structure to turn that energy into something productive. So I started the program. Starting it was my way of helping this generation in Madison build their own futures from the ground up.
Well, I gotta say good for you, because I'll tell you, I've worked with kids my whole life, and you and I can compare some children's ministry stories. I've always said there's tired, then there's VBS tired. But I've always felt like everybody loves to bash kids, right? And I've always said, look, the truth of the matter is, with working with young people, is they think they're older than they are, and we think they're younger than they are.
Right.
And when I was working with my fraternity in college after the fact, I kept reminding people, yeah, these are 18. What can you expect of 18 to 22-year-old kids? I'm like, I don't know, storm the beaches of Normandy and liberate Europe. You know what I mean? Like, I think we so sell them short. And I saw a statistic once, I don't know if it's true, that everything you learn, like 80% of what you learn by 9 years old. So let's talk about that, Mandy. What are these kids learning? Like, what's the experience like for them? What do you see happening in these kids' lives?
So the program focuses on teaching young people practical, real-world skills that they can actually use. So we cover the basics of entrepreneurship, like how to come up with an idea, create a product or service, price it, market it, and manage the money. But it goes deeper than that. They also learn communication, problem solving, responsibility, and how to handle both success and failure. So the overall objective is to build confidence and independence. We want these kids to realize they're capable of creating opportunities for themselves and not just sitting around and waiting for them to fall in their lap. It's about planting the entrepreneurial mindset early, helping them think creatively, take initiative, and understand the value of hard work. Even if they don't all become business owners, they leave with the skills and the mindset that will benefit them in any path that they choose.
I was just thinking that as you said it, right? Like, even if they don't go and become entrepreneurs, whether they're getting involved on their sports team, their church, wherever their community, wherever they go in life, the drive and ambition and life skills you gain as an entrepreneur have just such a multifaceted benefit to society, frankly. So, well, this is the Marc McMain Show on Real Country Q92.3. Today we are talking about a great resource for business owners. I am Bob Furr, sitting in for Marc today with Chastity Stewart alongside me on the bridge. As always, we're going to navigate through a few commercials and then steam right back to the show.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm fourth generation owner Josh Parker, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
Hey, this is attorney Bart Bitton with Bitton & Bitton. I live and work right here in Monroe, Georgia, and I am proud to serve this area. If you've been hurt in a car accident, you don't need some out-of-town lawyer that treats you like a number. You deserve a local lawyer you can trust, someone who lives here, works here, and takes care of people. So remember this, if you're ever in a car accident, be smart, call Bart. Bitton & Bitton, local lawyers you can trust.
As spring blooms, so does engagement season. At P&A Jewelers, voted the area's best jeweler and jewelry store, and celebrating 50 years, we offer a beautiful selection of engagement rings. Let us custom create exactly what your heart desires. Visit us in person next to Quick Trip in Loganville or online at shoppajewelers.com. P&A Jewelers, where your forever begins.
Madison Flooring, located at 1167 Eatonton Road in Madison, is your full-service and professional installation center for all kinds of flooring, from tile, carpet, laminate, wood. They even do showers. They have granite and quartz countertops. All military, police, firefighters, and teachers ask for your discount. Madison Flooring is locally owned and operated. For knowledgeable and friendly service, call 706-431-5152.
Welcome back, Real Country. We are talking about the Wheelhouse in Madison here on the Marc McMain Show. I'm Bob Furr, sitting in for Mark alongside Chastity Stewart, who is keeping us on course as always. And right now we're talking to one of the programs that the Wheelhouse supports. It's Madison Youth Entrepreneurs, and we have with us Legend Williams, who is one of those youth entrepreneurs, and we are putting his skills that he's learned to the test because we just pulled him off the bench with no notice and sat him down on the radio in front of a microphone, and he looks like he's ready to me. So Legend, tell us, what is it that made you get involved in Madison Youth Entrepreneurs?
I wanted to I love making my own money.
It's a great start. That's a great start. And so what is your business? What are you doing for a business so far?
I make unique toys and crafts.
Oh, really? Like what kinds? Like what are some examples?
Yo-yos, traveling tic-tac-toe toy games, and the fishing game.
Okay, gotcha. And what made you come up with that idea? Where did you see the need for that and such like that, or is it just something you wanted? Mandy, feel free to jump in.
I can explain that. So in the primary school, in second grade, the classes have to they have like their own little market day, and they make their own toys. And so everybody has to come up with their own idea. They have to make a certain amount for the class, and they actually have a day where they sell them and with play money. And he came up with this traveling tic-tac-toe game. Little stones in a little baggie. The tic-tac-toe game is on the bag, and that's kind of where the inspiration for the whole program came from. Was from him doing that, and then afterwards being like, I want to sell these. I want to sell them. I want to keep selling them. So, that was second grade. He's in fifth grade now, so it's taken me several years to really get the ball rolling on it. But that's how he came up with his business.
And shout out to the Morgan County schools. I talk about this on the tour, right? So Madison has a long history of education, going all the way back through like 6 years after the school was founded, women's education, freedmen's education, and the Madison Charter Schools have done such a good job continuing that with their work-based learning. And if you're familiar with Mike Rowe, he's really done a great job pointing out that we all decided everybody's got to go to college, and that's not true. We need people who can join the workforce right away, and a lot of times you do so much better financially doing that, and the degree to which the school exposes the kids to all these different potential career paths, really something pretty incredible. So
remarkable.
Yeah, it really is. It is. So tell us, what have you learned? Like, what have been your key takeaways from being involved in this process, Legend?
I learned the 3 pillars of business, and that is people, price, and product.
Okay. And how have you seen that? So when you think about your business, right, what are you thinking about in terms of people? Like, what I mean by that is, who do you think is going to buy your toys?
People.
Good. But let me ask you this. Do you think it's going to be more parents that like are trying to entertain their kids on road trips, or do you think the kids themselves will see it, that sort of thing?
Kids and parents.
Take them both, right? Take them both, okay? And what about price? How did you figure out what to price your products on and stuff like that? Man, you can feel free to help them.
So we took, after buying all of the materials, we took it all, calculated it up, and then we divided that and added a percentage, obviously, and then divided that per however many we were able to make for each one. So.
And is toys going to be it for you? Do you want to expand into other things? I mean, is Legend Toys going to be the next Mattel or Hasbro or something like that?
Yeah, kind of.
And so, Manny, what have you seen as you've watched Legend get into the program? What have you seen develop in him as he's gone through the different steps and the educational sessions that you've put together?
Well, not just in him, but so going into we had our first market in December, and so when I started this, it wasn't even supposed to be what it is. I wanted to do a market for just kids, and that's all I wanted to do. I have my hair salon is at the Madison Flea Market. I went to my landlord and I said, "Can I do a market outside with kids?" And he was like, "As long as you do it the right way, I don't care." And so I started promoting it. I got all the permits and everything, and so the parents started signing the kids up, and then I started hearing comments like, "I haven't had time to help my kid. My kid has a business, but we haven't had time. We haven't had this." And so that's kind of where the whole program fell into place. I wanted to be able to help kind of fill that gap. But going into the first market, most of these kids, they had the idea or something, but this was the first time ever at an event. I had one kid or maybe two that had ever sold to customers before. So most of them didn't want to talk. They were shy. They didn't know how to count money. None of them knew how to make change. That was like the biggest eye-opener, was like none of these kids knew how to count change. So at the end of the market, me along with the parents taught them how to make change. And so that was like our big teaching moment for that market. They all knew how to count change. They were all talking. None of the kids wanted to leave their own booth, but by the end of it, they were visiting each other, buying from each other. So and even in the classes, they're learning how to I make them get up in front of and speak to everybody. So they're just opening up more. They're learning, that there's more involved in a business than they thought. And so, and that's just what I've experienced myself, is them opening up, and also they've learned how to count money properly.
And so I got a chance to come in and talk to these kids, and my favorite moment was telling them, how much money my business lost the first year.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because when you have to make this capital investment in trolleys and marketing and stuff like that, I don't think anybody goes into business thinking I'm looking for a first year loss. Well, guess what? If you're not ready for that loss, then you are likely not ready for that business. So you've got another one of these fairs coming up on this Saturday?
Saturday.
So tell us all about it.
Okay, so this Saturday, April 18th, at the Madison Flea Market from 10 to 4. We've got our spring vendors market. I've got 16 kids registered. We're going to have a bounce house. Woody's Inflatables has donated a bounce house for the day, so I appreciate that. I've got a large array of different jewelry, essential oils, fishing tackle, toys, baked goods, lemonade, so all different kinds of stuff. We're going to have raffles. Leanne from Imagine That has donated a gift certificate, so I reached out to her yesterday, and it just so happened we were going to be here together today, so I think that's awesome.
Well, let's add a trolley tour gift certificate to that as well.
Okay, well, and so that is from 10 to 4, and this Saturday, so everybody come out and shop from the kids and support them, because they've worked very hard to get here.
Yeah, and that is so important. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show on WMOQ 92.3 on your FM dial. This is Bob Furr with Chastity Stewart. We're talking to Mandy Reese about the young entrepreneurs and the great Legend Williams, who just did an awesome job on the radio. But, it's such a critical thing you just said about adult support, right? These kids are putting themselves out there, really putting themselves, out there to try to make things happen. We really have to get behind it and support that. Right. Manny, let's say I've got a budding entrepreneur at home, right? I got a Bobby Furr trying to sell rocks out in front of the post office. How do I get plugged into the youth entrepreneurs and take advantage of that?
So, obviously, I encourage anybody who wants to get involved to come out to the market Saturday and check it out and meet some of the kids, and we can talk about it there. But we do have a website, MadisonYouthEntrepreneurs.com. There is a contact page that it's got all of my information on it to contact me, email, phone, whatever. And there's also a thing you can fill out, and it'll send it to me. And then we have a Facebook page. It's Madison Youth Entrepreneurs and Vendors Market. And we are always looking for youth to add on. I'm always looking for sponsors to help with program costs, mentors, businesses that want to provide their location and their experience as field trips, such that you did at our first class. And I'm also looking for one more thing. I want to plug this in real quick, is we are going to have a DJ on Saturday. However, I'm looking for any young musicians or artists or young bands that may want to come out and do some live music throughout the day. So
I think Mickey and I just coming back from the Flex program might have somebody in mind for you.
We have someone for you.
About that. So, well, thanks, Mandy. Thanks for the great work that you're doing. Mickey, this has got to be so rewarding for you to hear these programs that you're supporting doing so well.
It really is, and again, it's just the magic of connection. I mean, just when people get together, big things can happen. And I can say, Mandy has hosted 2 of her workshops up at the Wheelhouse. She is a gifted teacher in this area, and it is phenomenal to watch the kids get excited about it. And it's been pretty cool, because some of the things that she's teaching these kids are some of the things that we've had to coach some of the folks who've come to the Wheelhouse about. And so we want to be a space where people can be comfortable that they can come in and learn. There's nothing threatening about what we do. We are purely here for those folks. And you mentioned the Flex program. Flex is a Shark Tank type competition for high schoolers. And I know you're going to do another show on this too, but we want to wish Jatavius Ward of JIT Production good luck as he goes to state. He's already down there. Yay. And the competition will be tomorrow. So we're excited about that. So we help all ages throughout the whole thing.
Representing Morgan Charter Schools as high school as the defending champion from the state champions.
Yes, we won last year, and so we've got big plans for this year as well.
So we're going to have a great segue here, because we're talking about youth development. We're going to go into Imagine That, which is a business that was helped by the Wheelhouse and really starts out even younger than Mandy's group, right, in terms of helping kids learn, fundamental community involvement and activity. Mickey, who's the Wheelhouse for? Is it for somebody who is just starting out that has an idea? Is it for somebody who's been in business but feels like in my career when I was an advisory consultant, I worked with a lot of companies that, they grew to be $200 million, but they wanted to be $500 million, but they didn't know how to stop being a $200 million company. So they'd be like, who is the Wheelhouse for? What type of business owner? What type of company?
Well, to keep on your theme, we cast a wide net. Basically,
well played. Well played.
Awesome.
And we reel them in.
We reel them in.
No, so we help everyone from startups on through to businesses that are wanting to scale. And what's really great in the mentors that we have all ranges, people who've retired from publicly traded companies who have a lot of financial backgrounds and can help with those pieces. We are actually, one of the newest things that we're doing right now is something called Encore Entrepreneurship. And it's been really interesting because there are so many people who are midlife, whatever you define that as, and beyond, who are looking to buy companies or sell companies or get into something new. And so that's been a focus right now. Of course, the Flex kids, and the littles as well, wherever we can help them. But what is exciting is that we can find a coach for any any type, any need, because the resources are out there, and it's been just a lot of fun to make those connections. As a matter of fact, if anyone is listening today who wants to engage with us as a volunteer or a mentor, we certainly would love to have you. You can find everything you need to know about us at MadisonWheelhouse.com. And as you mentioned, the level that an entrepreneur is on, one thing that we ask you to do is fill out this entrepreneur profile, because it tells us where you are. Are you in the idea phase, or are you in the scaling phase? And that immediately helps us identify how we can best help you. So definitely encourage folks to come out and look at our website, see what's available, and how they can get involved with us as well.
Well, when we come back, we're going to hear a great success story about how the Wheelhouse helped a great new local business. We're in the Wheelhouse aboard the Marc McMain Show on Q92.3. Bob Furr and Chastity Stewart here on the bridge. We're going to chart a course through some commercials and then come right back for the last part of our voyage.
Howdy, y'all. It's your little buddy Les Lane, inviting you to join me and Billy Brew on Saturday, April the 18th, starting at 10 a.m. at Woodlake Baptist Church, 3940 Highway 138 in Walnut Grove, for their big Leaving a Legacy car show. Classic cars, trucks, vendors, inflatables for the kids, crafts, food, and so much more. Plus your shoddy-winning T-shirts and more. We'll see you on Saturday at Woodlake Baptist Church. It's live on location on Real Country Q92.3.
Is technology giving you a tough time at your home or business? Don't worry, Big Mountain Computers is here to help. We're your local tech experts, now open in Madison. Our white glove service ensures personalized solutions for all your IT needs. Hardware fixes, remote support, private lessons, and more. Visit us at Madison Plaza across from Ingalls, or call 706-343-4184 to schedule your consultation. That's 706-343-4184. Big Mountain Computers, turning your mountains into molehills. The Madison Trolley Company is Morgan County's newest 5-star attraction. We offer historic Madison tours year-round, a haunted history experience in the fall, and our Madison Lights Christmas Tour and Mary Maddie Express Adventure for kids have become new holiday traditions. Our private charters add vintage charm to weddings and special occasions aboard a historic trolley by day, party trolley by night. Find us on the Madison Town Square, or get on board by visiting MadisonTrolley.com or calling us at 706-997-1800. Serving Loganville and the surrounding area for over 25 years, it's the Main Street Barbershop, 305 Main Street next to Braxton's Auction in downtown Loganville, offering old-fashioned service and modern-day styles. Appointments available and walk-ins welcome. Open Tuesday through Saturday with a friendly staff and atmosphere. That's Main Street Barbershop in downtown Loganville. Call 770-554-3300 or go to MainStreetBarberLoganville.com to learn more.
The Greene County Rodeo is back for 2026 with exciting rodeo action Friday and Saturday, April the 24th and 25th at the Covered Arena on Sewell and Smith Drive in Greensboro. Bring the family out for all the thrills of bull riding, steer wrestling, girls barrel racing, team roping, bronc riding, and more. The kids will love the boot scramble and more. Don't miss this year's Greene County Rodeo, Friday and Saturday, April the 24th and 25th at 8 p.m. in Greensboro. Don't miss it.
All right, welcome back, Real Country. You are aboard the Marc McMain Show, sailing along here on WMOQ 92.3 on your FM dial. Bob Furr filling in on Tuesdays along with Chastity Stewart, and we're talking about the Wheelhouse in Madison, how it helps businesses succeed. Whether you're looking to buoy up an idea or shore up a plan, the Wheelhouse can help. But we're going to great topic now because it's really all going to come together, right? We've talked about the role the Wheelhouse has played in youth development. We've talked about small business ownership. We've talked about the Wheelhouse. That all really comes together with a cool new business in Madison, Morgan County called Imagine That with us, Leanne Howell. Welcome, Leanne.
Thank you.
You've been patiently sitting there. Tell us about Imagine That. Such a cool little business. Tell us about
So
it.
yes, it's Imagine That Indoor Play Village. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an indoor play area for kids, ranging from 0 to 10 years old. Of course, all are welcome, but it is geared towards that age. It is a place where kids can come in. It's like a little village. So when kids enter in, you see the road, you see buildings. I mean, we have anywhere from a sheriff's office to a house on fire with a fire truck. We have a church. We have a veterinarian's office. We have a school building. We have a market. We have a little house where kids can play mom and dad. We've got an ambulance. We've got a construction site. We've got a cafe. We've got a boutique. So it's all kid-sized, and the kids can come in and just imagine them being in certain types of roles. It's all hands-on, and so it is. It's just a fun little area. It is an indoor play, but they're also getting that learning experience. And then also parents are able to sit, work while their kids play, and it's all in a supervised area. So that's exactly what it is.
What a cool thing. And I mean, I may be wrong about this, but I thought I heard that somewhere it kind of models Morgan County or Madison a little bit. Okay.
It sure does.
Well, if that's the case, I'm just going to say I heard a lot of things listed there that it has: fire station, sheriff's office. To me, it felt like one thing was missing. Anybody feel like there was anything that was missing?
A boat for the wheelhouse.
No,
we have a boat.
Yeah, that's right.
That.
You have a boat.
Trolley. I mean, I feel like that. So, yeah, but what's great is, look, all these like bouncy house places, the places you go with all the ball pits, they're great, right? Kids need exercise. They need that kind of play. But this kind of play where they're getting to imagine things and imagine that, right? Imagine what it might be like to be a storekeeper. Imagine what it might be like. So how did you imagine that, right? How did this start? What were you doing before? Tell us how Imagine That became to that.
Yes. So I was a teacher. Still am, I guess I would say. But I was a pre-K teacher. I was all the way up to first grade. And I just enjoyed it. I noticed how much the kids learn through play, and we get away from that, really. And so, long story short, we had to move up north for my husband's job, and so I decided to stay home with my child, who was 1 at the time, and I was looking for things to do with him. Like I said, we're living up north. There's lots of snow, as you know, and one thing they had were a lot of indoor play areas. A lot of those being museums, and one thing my son at the time gravitated towards was the kitchen sets, or and some museums did. They have like a little building where it may be a market, and he can go in, take a shopping cart, shop, and so all of that stuff. It was really fun to me as well as him, and so that's when it struck. I was like, I need to open something very similar to this when I move back home in the South, because we have nothing like that. There are a few places, and you're going to see it more and more. I've noticed since I've opened that there's been more places, but here in Morgan County, it is it serves a lot of the surrounding counties as well. So, like I said, it just kind of struck when I saw him playing, and then of course the background, my education, it just became reality.
And you mentioned it, like you were taking your child. Is it something that people do, like birthday parties there,
yes.
So you can have special events and that
so
sort of thing?
So that's one thing that we offer. We offer birthday parties. Those have become quite popular. We've also, another thing that's becoming real popular are field trips. So we're having lots of schools, lots of surrounding schools coming, and we actually have some community helpers that will come in and speak with the kids. We'll have the sheriff come out. We'll have the firefighters come out with their trucks, and so they're getting that experience, but they're also getting to role play those. So they get to see the community helper, find out what they do, and then they actually get to go and be that person.
I noticed, I think it was your grand opening, I noticed the fire department was out there, the sheriff was, I thought that was so cool.
One thing I didn't mention was so like you said, it is like a little Morgan County. So we have our sheriff's office, so it's Morgan County Sheriff's Office. We have Madison Fire Department. We have Morgan Fire Department that also comes out and helps sponsor, support in ways. And then we have Covenant Park Church, obviously, with me being the children's pastor there. It only made sense. And then we have Main Street Vet. We have Farmview. We have Morgan County Charter Schools. We have Morgan Medical. So all of these people, I know I'm leaving people out, but all of them have sponsored us in having their names on their buildings, but also coming out supporting, especially our field trips.
You're listening to Marc McMain Show with Bob Furr and Chastity Stewart here on Real Country 92.3. We're talking with Leanne Howell now, who owns a really cool business called Imagine That. And we're going to get into how the Wheelhouse helped imagination come into an actual thing. You made such an important point, though, a minute ago about, the hands-on play. So when I was a kid, obviously, you go into museums today, there's all sorts of great interactive screens, right? Not the same as when I was a kid and you went to the museums and you had that tactile experience. And today it's just so easy to just lose the kids in the screens and to have them be there and put that together. So I'm imagining this business started somehow. You and your husband are sitting around the table and it's like, hey, I got this idea. Take us from the moment that you first imagined that, until it actually became Imagine That, and specifically how the wheelhouse played a role in that.
Yes. So I had a Pinterest board when that was a thing. I guess it's still a thing. But like I said, I got the idea just watching my son play, and then obviously knowing how much the kids learn through play. And you're right, we do get away from that, or most of our kids are on computers now, but just having that hands-on experience. So I was like, we've got to do something. So I explained to my husband. It took him a minute to actually understand it, but then when I took him to the museums and he saw it for himself, and then the Pinterest board that I had, he jumped on board and he's like, we've got to do this. So when we moved back here in Madison and built our home here, we got involved with our church, and that's actually the building that we're at now.
I was going to say, kind of a cool connection,
yes,
right? The church
so
started there.
Honestly, I kind of put it on the back burner, mainly because of COVID. I thought, this isn't the time to open, because I was ready to open right before, but we couldn't find a building. So that's where I became the children's pastor there at Covenant Park Church, and the building that we were at, we were renting. And so when it became available, I was like, nobody was taking it. So I was like, okay, this must be God's plan. So we stepped in, and it happened extremely quickly. But as as the doors were opening, many people, and Mickey Edwards, we go to church together, mentioned the wheelhouse. And so we just went in for coffee and conversations. That's where I met you, Bob. That same exact day, you were coming in for the trolley. I was coming in for Imagine That, and we were kind of already on our way. Had things lined up, but there was a lot of questions that the wheelhouse was able to answer. They were able to get us, just pretty much help jump through all the hoops it took to open a business here in Morgan County, especially, and then also just got us in touch with the right people. It helps to know people. Like you say, you bring people together, you can definitely get a lot done that way. So.
And did I hear the story correctly that you had come in with like a list of like 14 things, right,
yes.
that had you stuck, and you walked out of that one coffee and conversations
right.
with all those boxes?
Right. One of those being marketing, and Jocelyn Wyckoff, shout out to her. She became our marketing person. She set up our website, all of that stuff. That was kind of my biggest fear, because I knew that was a big role, and it's actually a bigger role than I thought, since I've been a part of this. And she helped kick that off, and she was with us every step of the way. So that was just one of the many things. But yeah, they were able, okay, when you leave here, you need to go next door, you need to ask this question, this, that. And we just had our list, and we went right down it. And I think because of that, we opened a lot sooner.
So that's an important point right there,
mm-hmm.
right? Time being a factor,
yes.
timing being everything, and the fact. So how's it going? Like, what have been the headwinds? What are the tailwinds? What's the experience been like for your family?
There's a lot of ups and downs, I've realized, and you're right. You lose a lot in that first year, but you gain a lot. And, just creating that support system, honestly, this business has become family. We have lots of people that come in weekly, and we've got to know them. But it's just been an eye-opener. It's something I enjoy. There's no reason to be a part of something that you don't enjoy. So with that, just having that experience of working with kids, but being able to enjoy that in my own type of business. But then also, asking for the help when we need it, having that support system like the wheelhouse has been wonderful. So just finding what works and what doesn't work, and just going with the flow.
And how old are your kids now?
So I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old. So,
See,
yes.
You are the coolest parents ever, right? So you got a 4-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old. You have a plaything, right?
Yes.
So that's great. I have teenagers. When you have teenagers and you own a trolley, maybe not the coolest
so cool.
thing for them whatsoever. Well, Thos, thank you for sharing that great story with us. How do people find you? How do they find out more information about Imagine That, and how do they get their kids to have this wonderful experience?
So you can visit our website at imaginethatmoco.com. You can also find us on Facebook and on Instagram, and we are located at 1410 Atlanta Highway, and that's in Madison, Georgia, 30650.
And then, Mandy, April 18th, this Saturday, you've got the youth fair coming up. Time again?
10 to 4.
10 to 4 at the Madison Flea
Madison
Market.
Flea
Big red building with big red triangle out
Absolutely.
front. Mickey, Thursday the 16th, you've got Coffee and Conversations.
Coffee and Conversation at 8:15 in the morning, and we are at 115 East Jefferson, right above the Welcome Center. And if you have a business idea, or if you know anyone who does, tell them they need to register to come to our discovery session this Saturday from 10 to noon.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming in. Great show today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
I'm Bob
Yes,
for
thank
Chastity.
you.
Yes, and I definitely wanted to chime in on the puns today. So, awesome job today, as always, Mr. Bob, having you on the show. And kudos to the Wheelhouse for being the lighthouse for small businesses. Stay buoyant and see you next voyage.
It's contagious.
It
The dad
is.
jokes
I
are
love it.
contagious. Well, you've been listening to the Marc McMain Show here on WMOQ 92.3 on your FM dial. Bob for filling in on Tuesdays. I'll be back next Tuesday with a show called Eventful Madison. All the great events coming up this Madison spring and summer. Until then, keep it real, country.